Hi and welcome to this Blueberry Markets video update with me, John Kibler, head currency analyst. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at Aussie US dollar as the price looks to be looking for a move lower in the very near term. So I'm going to have a little look at that, see if there's an option for us to look at potential opportunities to the downside for sellers, or where is the support going to come into play for those potentially looking to buy the currency pair. Now, you can see here I've got the monthly time frame. I'm actually just going to zoom into sort of where current price action is directed at the moment, and you can see that we're pretty much in a range. Okay, despite the sort of recent downward trend, price is actually trading between the 0.8 handle and the 0.62 handle, and that's where price has been contained for some time now. And although that we're in that sort of monthly range, it doesn't mean that trends can't form within it on lower time frames. So for instance, if I was to dive to the weekly time frame now, you'll see that price is in a downward trend within that. Now, one thing that we pointed out most recently was the fact that on the weekly we are in a downward trend and the price is making those lower lows and lower high patterns. Now, when something is in a downward trend, our job as an analyst and trader, the first thing is to identify where that lower high could come into play. And if that lower high does come into play, where is it going to potentially form and what could happen next? Okay, so W.N, what next? Okay, so you can see here we identified the 0.6750 handle, previous lows, as an area where price could find some resistance. We also have trendline confluence through here, where you can see that price has reacted from the trend line and formed a bearish close. Okay, so in that kind of opportunity there, I would expect price to either come back down to retest the previous lows where we found some support, or at least some area within that where price may found some support. Okay, so we can tick off that we're in the downward trend, that the lower high has technically formed there, and now we need to look at where next and how it's going to get there. So where next could be the previous lows, this little area of support in here. If we go to a lower time frame, we can see that in a little bit more detail. So I've marked out here the 0.6550 handle. Now that handle has originated from this area here, so we have previous highs as well as some other areas of resistance. It may drop a little bit lower to the 0.65 handle, but that zone between, that 50 pip zone between that is something that could be good for these sellers that are directing price to the downside at the moment. So could we potentially look at that as an opportunity? Well, I think if we're going to look at it in two ways, we could either see price as support. If you were looking for Aussie US dollar to continue to the upside, this is where I would wait for price to come into this area here. Watch how the price action forms. If you start to show lower time frame changes of trend, or at least price stalling in and around this area, I'd have the confidence to say that price could start potentially pushing back to the upside here. However, what we're going to be focusing more on is for those traders looking to get short to that 0.65 handle, because that is the current element that is in play for us at the moment. We can see that price came to that key area of resistance at the 0.6750. We consolidated, we made a new low. Where does that lower high come back in? It comes back in at previous structure. Price has traded to the downside, breaking through structure. So we can identify the exact same thing. Could price potentially come back to these previous structure lows in here? Now those previous structure lows are going to be around the 0.6630 handle, or all the way up into the 0.6650. You can also see that we have this slight pause in price here before seeing the continuation to the downside, and on the low side of that you've got a psychological number. So if I actually bring that in a little bit lower, okay, and I'm actually just going to mark this in here as the 0.66 handle in there, okay, because we've got a psychological number just sitting below that point. Okay, I'm actually going to put it back a little bit higher, and that area there could act as resistance for people that are looking for shorter time frame opportunities. So we could look for price to sell off into it from here. We could argue that area that we just talked about previously there could act as resistance as well. That has trend line confluence with it, so you've got a couple of different ideas there if you are a short seller in the market. Now, just to go to the hourly, just to kind of clear things up, why is that a level of interest? Well, look at that consolidation before price traded to the downside. That could be retested and could see sellers continue to push price back to the downside at that point. So I would keep an eye on Aussie US dollar around about the 0 spot 66 handle. I'd also watch it up at the 0 spot 66.40 handle. That area there has obviously found some support and resistance in the past. If you didn't want to look for the short opportunity, or if you don't want to look for the short, wait for price to come back to the 0 spot 65.50 handle. There we could see this daily kind of trend continue from that point. Hopefully that all made sense. If it did, please leave this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel to see some more of our Forex trading content. And I'll speak to you in the next video.